I've waited 3 days to calm down after Sunday's shocker. And it's sad to say that it does feel like Erik ten Hag is in real danger of losing his way at Manchester United. But that humbling defeat by Manchester City was far from the end of the road for our fifth full-time manager since Sir Alex Ferguson. While the overachievements of his first season in charge will not guarantee Erik ten Hag long-term security if things don't improve, I do think we've got to look at the bigger picture. Excuses are for weak people. The job of the coach is always to get the best out of the players he's got available. And no doubt, Erik ten Hag is just as responsible as his players for the shocking start to the season so far. While our richly rewarded players have clearly underperformed, we can all see that Erik ten Hag has also made mistakes with tactics and team selection. But that doesn't make him a bad manager. He just finds himself in a bad situation. So, where do we go from here? In my view, it's time for our manager to really show what he's made of. He's got to bench senior players when they're not performing out on the pitch. And it's time to give our kids a real chance. Erik ten Hag originally sidelined Jadon Sancho for not working hard enough in training. If he's going to be consistent, he's got to bench other senior players who are not performing out on the pitch, because many are currently falling well short of what they're capable of. Meantime, we've got a talented group of kids hungry to take their place. Garnacho has already shown he's more than ready. Hannibal and Pellistri both look well equipped, while Kobe Mainoo is fit again and heads a growing list of impressive young hopefuls pushing for first team minutes. So much of this football club's success is built on homegrown talent, and no one knew that more than the late Sir Bobby Charlton, the last of the Busby Babes who survived Munich. The pain of losing our iconic Ballon d'Or winning champion is magnified by the realisation of just how far we've fallen in the decade since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. I do still think that Erik ten Hag has the ability to be a success at Manchester United, but it's typical of today's polarised fan base that we see a lot of noise on social and legacy media channels calling for a new manager. Personally, I think we've got to avoid falling down the rabbit hole of knee-jerk, rinse and repeat hiring and firing of managers. Few successful eras ever happen without giving the manager time and a real chance to show what he can do with his own team. So now more than ever, Erik ten Hag needs to find the confidence to lay the foundations for his long-term vision. At the moment, it feels like his tactics and his team selection is muddled and uncertain. His credibility shaken by questionable recruitment. It's clear we've overpaid for some players, Mason Mount and Anthony in particular. Both are squad players at best on current form. Consequently, my fear is that Erik ten Hag is in danger of being overwhelmed by what's become the hardest job in football. Over £400 million has been spent on players since Ten Hag took charge 16 months ago, but we don't see a style of play emerging or any identity that gives us genuine confidence that this collection of players are anywhere near good enough to challenge Manchester City any time soon. The league table doesn't lie, and we're currently no better than a mid-table side on current form. Only 5 teams in the whole Premier League have a worse goal difference than Manchester United, and only 5 teams have lost more Premier League games. Injuries, of course, have been a major handicap this season, but even when our players are all fit, how much progress have we really made since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer departed? What began as our worst ever start to a Premier League season is turning into a frustrating campaign of inconsistency and mediocrity. After a run of 3 straight wins, reality kicked in when we fell apart in a gutless surrender against our neighbours from the Etihad. There are players in that team earning over £300,000 every single week, and for me, that's part of the problem. The rewards don't match the achievements. How many players even deserve to be paid at all after Sunday's shambles? Personally, I'd rather watch the kids play. I'm not going to name names, but how many of our overpaid stars should be embarrassed to pick up their wages after the way they meekly surrendered against Manchester City? And the truth is, it certainly wasn't a one-off, far from it. The only time this season I've genuinely been excited about our prospects was when our kids inspired our best performance of the season in the Carabao Cup. Garnacho, Hannibal, Palestri and then Dan Gore off the bench displayed the confidence, the hunger and the quality of youth that this football club's most successful eras have all been built on. Crystal Palace were brushed aside in what felt like an exciting glimpse of the future. If that was the way Erik ten Hag wants us to play, then the fans will love it. But 5 days later, when the senior players earning the big bucks returned, we were beaten in the Premier League rematch with Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace. Since then, even when we've won, we've been far from convincing. And many of our best moments have been when Garnacho has been out on the pitch. Let's see how many youngsters get to start against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup tonight. Personally, I think Erik ten Hag would be making the right kind of statement if he gives our young players a chance against Newcastle. And if not against Newcastle, I do hope to see more from our academy graduates sooner rather than later. On Sunday, our fans knew the game was up against Manchester City when we trailed 2-0. That's why the Red Army began chanting this song on a loop 15 minutes before the full-time whistle. And the Stretford end was still in full chorus until after every single player had left the Old Trafford pitch. Win, lose or draw, our most loyal supporters will always keep the red flag flying.